First strike. The message reached Earth at 2:37 a.m. Universal Standard Time, transmitted through quantum channels that humanity had kept hidden from the galactic community for over 3 centuries. Admiral Sarah Chen stared at the holographic projection, her face illuminated by its soft blue glow as she watched the footage for the 6th time. The Zeral Empire's warships hummed like obsidian daggers above Europa, their particle beams cutting through the dome of New Copenhagen colony with surgical precision. Her daughter Maya had been among the colonists, 8 years old, born on Europa, never having set foot on Earth. The Empire claimed they had mistaken the research facility for a weapons development site, but the precision of their strike suggested otherwise. They had known exactly what they were targeting: a civilian settlement deliberately kept at pre-FTL technology levels to maintain humanity's carefully crafted facade of technological inferiority. "They're testing us," General Marcus Davidson said, his weathered face grim in the darkness of the command center. "Seeing how we'll respond to a direct provocation." "No," Chen replied, her voice steady despite the grief and rage churning inside her. "They're trying to teach us our place. They've always seen us as primitive, barely worth acknowledging. This isn't a test, it's a lesson." She allowed herself a thin, dangerous smile. "It seems our deception worked too well." The deception she referred to was Project Nightfall, humanity's greatest act of misdirection. While the Zeral Empire and other galactic powers looked down on Earth as a backwater world struggling with basic spaceflight, humanity had been preparing. Deep beneath the oceans, inside hollow moons, and in pocket dimensions, Earth had built its response to any potential threat. The Emergency Council of Earth convened within the hour, representatives from every nation and colony gathering in the ancient chamber carved from a single piece of marble beneath the Himalayas. Above them, the footage from Europa played in silence. Council leader Amara Okafor raised her hand, and the projection froze. "The Empire believes they have taught us humility," she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. "Instead, they have given us clarity." In bases across the solar system and beyond, sealed orders were opened. The facade of primitive humanity began to crack. In the Kuiper Belt, massive hangar doors hidden for decades slowly parted. From Jupiter's clouds emerged ships that had been hiding in plain sight. Beneath Earth's oceans, vessels larger than cities began their ascent. Aboard the flagship Hyperion, Admiral Chen received the activation code she had trained her entire life to use. Around her, crew members moved with practiced precision, their movements rehearsed countless times for this very moment. "Deploy quantum shields," she ordered. "Begin fleet-wide power-up sequence." The ships that emerged were not the crude vessels the Empire was familiar with. These were the products of centuries of hidden advancement, combining technologies humanity had developed in secret with reverse-engineered systems from a dozen alien civilizations. Each ship was a testament to human ingenuity and determination. The Hyperion's eye, more sophisticated than anything the Empire believed possible, manifested as a holographic presence beside Chen. "All systems optimal, Admiral. The fleet stands ready." In orbit around Mars, Chen watched the fleet assemble. 10,000 ships, each one capable of facing down an entire Imperial battle group. The Empire had killed her daughter to prove their superiority. In doing so, they had awakened something they couldn't possibly understand: the full might of a humanity that had spent centuries preparing for this very moment. "Send the message," she commanded. Across Imperial space, communication channels lit up with a simple transmission. "You believed us weak. You thought us primitive. You killed our children to prove your power. Now witness ours." The fleet moved as one, jumping to faster-than-light speeds through methods the Empire had deemed theoretically impossible. The time for hiding was over. Humanity was going to war not with the reluctance of the oppressed, but with the calculated fury of a species that had been waiting for this moment. As the Hyperion led the charge, Chen thought of Maya, of her smile, of the dreams she would never realize. The Empire was about to learn that they hadn't been observing a primitive civilization. They had been watching a snake coil to strike, and they had just stepped on its tail. In the darkness of space, 10,000 ships carried with them humanity's response to centuries of condescension and one final, unforgivable act. The galaxy was about to change, and the Zyril Empire had no one to blame but themselves. The war had begun, but it wasn't going to be the kind of war the Empire expected. They had built their dominion on the assumption, understand basic FTL travel. But humanity's deception went deeper than even he could imagine. The seemingly primitive FTL drives they had displayed in public were a carefully crafted facade. The real human ships didn't travel through space. They manipulated the fundamental fabric of reality itself. Dr. Rodriguez's quantum core team had perfected technology that the Empire had deemed theoretically impossible. Their ships didn't need to accelerate to faster-than-light speeds because they could simply alter the distance between 2 points in spacetime. The first real battle of the war began in the Centauri sector. The Empire had assembled a fleet of 10,000 ships, confident in their technological superiority. They still believed they were facing a primitive species that had somehow managed to hide a few advanced ships. Enemy fleet holding position near Proxima Centauri, Commander Wei reported. Their weapon systems are charging. They're deploying their latest quantum shield technology. Initiate Operation Twilight, Chen commanded. Across the human fleet, systems that had remained dormant for centuries came online. The Empire's fleet opened fire, their most powerful weapons lashing out at where their sensors told them the human ships would be. But humanity had learned long ago how to project false sensor readings. The Empire's entire barrage hit nothing but carefully crafted quantum mirages. Then the human fleet revealed itself, but not in a way the Empire could have predicted. Instead of appearing as solid objects, the ships seemed to phase in and out of reality, existing in multiple states simultaneously. The quantum technology that humanity had perfected didn't just make their ships difficult to detect, it made them fundamentally impossible to target with conventional weapons. All ships, execute attack pattern Omega, Chen ordered. The human fleet moved in perfect synchronization, their movements guided by artificial intelligences far beyond anything the Empire possessed. The Empire's ships found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Human vessels would appear to be in one location, only to instantly exist in another. Their weapons didn't travel through space. They simply altered the quantum state of their targets, causing Imperial ships to break apart at the atomic level. In the midst of the battle, Dr. Rodriguez activated the quantum core's primary system. The technology they had hidden for so long was about to demonstrate why humanity had gone to such lengths to keep it secret. Quantum entanglement field at full power, she reported, ready to initiate full spectrum collapse. The human fleet began to move in a complex pattern, creating a vast web of quantum entangled points in space. The Empire's commanders watched in confusion, not understanding what they were seeing until it was too late. With a command from Chen, the quantum web activated. Space itself seemed to shudder as the carefully constructed pattern created a cascade of quantum effects. Imperial ships found their own quantum shields being turned against them, their advanced technology becoming a liability rather than an advantage. In less than 30 minutes, the battle was over. The Empire's fleet hadn't just been defeated, it had been completely dismantled by technology they hadn't even known was possible. But this was just the beginning of Operation Twilight. As reports of the battle reached Zyril Prime, High Commander Vexthor began to understand the true scope of their mistake. The humans hadn't been struggling to catch up to Imperial technology. They had surpassed it long ago, and simply chosen to hide that fact. The quantum probes launched earlier began their secondary mission, infiltrating the Empire's most secure networks. Hidden protocols that humanity had embedded in Imperial technology over centuries of careful planning began to activate. Chen opened a channel to the Imperial capital, her holographic image appearing in their command center. "This is just the beginning," she stated, her voice calm but carrying an edge of steel. "You believed you were teaching us our place in the galaxy. Instead, you're about to learn yours." The Empire was about to discover that their technological superiority had been an illusion, one that humanity had carefully maintained while preparing for this very moment. Operation Twilight wasn't just a military campaign. It was the revelation of humanity's true capabilities, centuries in the making. As the remains of the Imperial fleet drifted in space, Chen thought again of Maya and the other colonists of Europa. Their deaths would be avenged not just with military might, but with the complete dismantling of everything the Empire believed about their place in the galaxy. The real war was just beginning, and humanity had only begun to reveal what they were truly capable of. That they understood the limits of possible technology, the boundaries of what species could achieve. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. For 300 years, humanity had played the role of a primitive species, carefully crafting every aspect of their public technology to reinforce this image. Every trade deal, every diplomatic mission, every technological exchange had been orchestrated to present the picture of a species just beginning to grasp the complexities of galactic civilization. But beneath this facade lay the truth. Quantum computers more advanced than anything in known space, weapons that could unmake matter itself, and ships that could bend reality to their will. The Empire had killed Maya Chen and her fellow colonists because they believed humanity would have no choice but to accept their lesson in humility. Instead, they had triggered humanity's trap centuries in the making. As the fleet approached their first target, Admiral Chen accessed a secure quantum channel to the Council. "Operation Nightfall is now active," she reported. "All ships are combat-ready. The Empire's sensors are already being fed false data through our embedded systems. They won't see us coming until it's too late." "Understood, Admiral." Council Leader Okafor responded. "Remember the directive. We're not just fighting a war. We're revealing to the galaxy that every assumption they've made about humanity has been wrong. Make it count." Chen closed the channel and turned to her bridge crew. "Battle stations. Prepare to show the Empire exactly what humanity is capable of." The first strike would target not the Empire's military installations, but rather the foundations of their perceived technological superiority. They would learn that humanity hadn't been struggling to catch up. They had surpassed the Empire long ago and simply chosen to hide that fact. The war for human vengeance had begun, but it would be fought with the same careful planning and patience that had characterized centuries of preparation. The Empire was about to learn the true cost of their fatal miscalculation. Maya Chen would be avenged, not just with force, but with the revelation that humanity had outmaneuvered the Empire before the first shot was ever fired. The galaxy was about to witness what happened when humanity stopped pretending to be primitive and revealed their true nature. The time for deception was over. The time for reckoning had begun. Operation Twilight. Deep within the Hyperion's quantum core, Dr. Elena Rodriguez watched as reality itself bent around the ship's advanced drive systems. The Zeril Empire's scientists had theorized such technology was centuries away. They were about to learn how wrong they were. "Phase shift complete," she announced, monitoring the quantum field fluctuations. "The fleet is now operating entirely outside standard detection parameters." The human armada moved through space like ghosts, their presence masked by technology that the Empire had dismissed as impossible. Each ship was wrapped in layers of quantum fields that didn't just hide them from sensors. They made them fundamentally incompatible with the Empire's understanding of physics. Admiral Chen stood at the command center, watching as real-time data streamed in from humanity's vast network of stealth satellites, another technology they had kept hidden. The Empire's response to their emergence was exactly as predicted: confusion, followed by arrogance, followed by the fatal mistake of underestimating their opponent. "Their home fleet is mobilizing," reported Commander James Way, his hands dancing across holographic interfaces. "They're deploying according to standard Imperial doctrine, exactly as our simulations predicted." Chen allowed herself a grim smile. For centuries, humanity had studied every aspect of Imperial military doctrine, identifying patterns and weaknesses that the Empire didn't even know existed. Every battle plan, Every tactical response, every strategic doctrine had been analyzed, dissected, and prepared for. "Launch the quantum probes," Chen ordered. Across the fleet, thousands of microscopic devices slipped into quantum space, each one carrying a payload that would rewrite the rules of this war. The Empire's first indication that something was wrong came when their supposedly impenetrable quantum communications network began to fail. Across their territory, carefully hidden human algorithms began to awaken, spreading through their systems like digital wildfire. In the imperial capital of Zero Prime, High Commander Vexthor received increasingly panicked reports from his fleet commanders. Their most advanced sensors couldn't detect the human ships. Their quantum-encrypted communications were being intercepted and decoded instantly. Even their automated defense systems were behaving erratically. "Impossible," he snarled, his crystalline features distorting with rage. "They are primitives. They barely." Web of shadows. In the heart of Zero Prime, Operative Diana Shaw sipped her morning tea, watching the chaos unfold through the windows of her office in the Imperial Ministry of Defense. For 15 years, she had played the role of a minor bureaucrat, one of countless aliens who had sought citizenship in the Empire's supposedly superior civilization. Now, as alarms blared and security forces rushed through the streets, she allowed herself a small smile. "Security breach in quantum networks Alpha through Epsilon," the Imperial systems announced, their synthetic voices carrying an edge of panic that would have been impossible just hours ago. That was her team's work, subtle alterations to the AI protocols that had been put in place years ago, waiting for this moment. Diana accessed her quantum terminal, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface as she entered the final codes that would activate the deepest layer of humanity's infiltration. Around the galaxy, thousands of other operatives were doing the same, each one a piece in a vast web of influence that humanity had spent centuries weaving through the Empire's society. Aboard the Hyperion, Admiral Chen received the encrypted transmission she had been waiting for. "Operation Shadow Web is now active," she announced to her command staff. "All sleeper agents are executing their primary protocols." The Empire's response to their military defeat had been predictable. They had activated their doomsday protocols, attempting to shut down their own infrastructure rather than let it fall into enemy hands. But humanity had anticipated this centuries ago. In the Imperial Security Center, Chief Administrator Vexthor, brother of the High Commander, found himself unable to access the Empire's most critical systems. Every override code, every emergency protocol, every failsafe had been subtly altered over the years by human agents working at every level of Imperial society. "How deep does this infiltration go?" he demanded, his crystalline features distorted with rage and fear. The answer was deeper than any Imperial official could have imagined. Humanity hadn't just planted spies. They had embedded themselves into the very fabric of Imperial society. Teachers, merchants, maintenance workers, even some minor noble houses, all carefully placed over generations, their true loyalty hidden behind perfect covers. Dr. Rodriguez, monitoring the quantum network from the Hyperion, watched as the Empire's much-vaunted security systems fell one by one. "The quantum infiltration is complete," she reported. "Their networks are now operating on our protocols. They've lost control of their own technology." The Empire's leadership was about to discover that their most closely guarded secrets had never been secure. Human quantum computers had been reading their unbreakable encryptions for centuries, gathering intelligence that would now be used to dismantle their power structure from within. In the Imperial Academy of Sciences, Professor Kai Anderson, another deep-cover operative, initiated the final phase of his mission. For decades, he had guided Imperial research away from discoveries that might have revealed humanity's deceptions, all while collecting data on their technological capabilities. "The Empire's scientific community is in complete disarray," he reported through quantum channels that the Empire couldn't detect. "Their understanding of their own technology is unraveling as our revelations come to light." The true extent of humanity's infiltration became clear as Imperial forces found themselves unable to coordinate any meaningful response. Communication systems failed in precise patterns, security protocols locked out their own commanders, and automated defense systems refused to recognize imperial authority. High Commander Vexthor, increasingly isolated in his command center, watched helplessly as his empire's carefully constructed hierarchy crumbled. The humans hadn't just beaten them militarily, they had compromised the very foundations of imperial power. Your entire society is built on a fundamental misunderstanding. Admiral Chen's message echoed through the remaining imperial channels. You believed technological superiority gave you the right to dominate. We let you believe you were superior while we prepared to show you how wrong you were. Diana Shaw, her role as a sleeper agent no longer necessary, accessed the imperial capital's primary control systems. With a few precise commands, she disabled the planetary defense grid, not through brute force, but through authorization codes that had been hidden in the system's architecture for years. The capital's defenses are down, she reported. All human operatives are proceeding to extraction points. The Empire's command structure is now effectively paralyzed. The impact of humanity's infiltration went beyond military or technological advantages. Human operatives had influenced imperial culture, education, and politics for generations, subtly guiding the Empire toward policies and decisions that would make them vulnerable to this very moment. In the imperial archives, historical records were being updated in real time, revealing the true history of human-imperial relations. The Empire's belief in their own superiority had been carefully nurtured, encouraging them to underestimate humanity while blind to the influence being exerted on their civilization. Begin the final phase, Chen commanded. Across imperial space, hidden quantum transmitters activated, broadcasting the truth to every corner of the Empire. The carefully maintained image of imperial superiority was being torn away, revealing the extent of humanity's long game. The Empire's citizens learned that their most celebrated technological achievements had been subtly guided by human influence. Their proudest military victories had been allowed to happen. Even their social evolution had been shaped by human agents working patiently through generations. Professor Anderson, watching from his position in the academy, sent his final report. The Empire's next generation of leaders was educated using curriculum we designed. Their future was shaped before they even realized we were a threat. The web of shadows that humanity had woven through imperial society was finally visible, but it was too late for the Empire to do anything about it. Their civilization hadn't been conquered by military force alone. It had been quietly subverted through centuries of careful manipulation. Admiral Chen, receiving updates from across imperial space, allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The Empire had killed her daughter thinking they were punishing an inferior species. Instead, they had triggered the collapse of everything they had built, orchestrated by the very people they had dismissed as primitive. The war wasn't just being fought in space or through technology. It was being won through the patient, meticulous work of thousands of human agents who had sacrificed decades of their lives to ensure this victory. The Empire was learning that true power didn't lie in military might or advanced technology, but in the ability to shape the very foundations of a civilization. As imperial society descended into chaos, Diana Shaw sent her final transmission from the heart of Zero Prime. The web is complete. The Empire is now primed for the final phase of our operation. The time had come to reveal just how completely humanity had outmaneuvered their supposed superiors. The final gambit. High Commander Vexthor stood in the imperial vault of forbidden technologies, his crystalline form reflecting the eerie glow of ancient weapons and devices deemed too dangerous for use. After 3 centuries of assumed superiority, the Empire had been driven to this, unleashing horrors they had sworn never to wake. "Activate the Void Dancers," he commanded, his voice echoing through the cavernous chamber. Ancient containment fields powered down, releasing swarms of self-replicating nanites that had nearly destroyed the galaxy eons ago. Let humanity taste true power. Aboard the Hyperion, Dr. Rodriguez's quantum sensors detected the activation of the forbidden technologies. She allowed herself a small smile. Even this had been anticipated. "Admiral, they've released the Void Dancers, exactly as predicted." Admiral Chen nodded, watching as the swarms of ancient nanites spread across Imperial space, consuming everything in their path and converting matter into more of themselves. "Execute Protocol Omega. Let's show them why we let them keep those toys in their vault." Throughout human space, quantum field generators that had remained dormant for centuries activated. The technology was based on artifacts humanity had discovered in their own solar system, remnants of an even older civilization that had faced the Void Dancers before. But where that civilization had fallen, humanity had spent centuries perfecting their defense. The nanite swarms approached the human fleet, only to encounter something they had never faced before. Quantum fields didn't just stop them, they rewrote their basic programming. Dr. Rodriguez's team had spent decades studying the ancient threat, developing countermeasures that went beyond simple defense. "Nanite swarms are now under our control," she reported, watching as the reprogrammed Void Dancers turned back toward Imperial space. Their own weapon is about to become their nightmare. In the Imperial Palace, Vexthor received reports of the Void Dancers' failure with increasing desperation. "Activate the Star Killer," he ordered, revealing the Empire's ultimate weapon, a device capable of inducing artificial supernovas. But humanity had prepared for this as well. As the Star Killer powered up, targeting Earth's sun, hidden quantum devices planted throughout Imperial space centuries ago began their work. The weapon's energy was caught in a web of quantum fields, redirected and transformed. "They're not just stopping our weapons," reported Imperial Science Director Vex Mora, her voice trembling. "They're using our own energy against us, feeding it into some kind of quantum matrix we don't understand." Commander Diana Shaw, now operating openly from her position in the Imperial capital, sent the signal that would reveal humanity's final deception. Initiating Protocol Genesis, she transmitted to the Hyperion, showing them what their weapons really are. The truth was more devastating than any weapon. The forbidden technologies in the Imperial Vault, the source of their last desperate hopes, had been quietly modified by human agents over the centuries. Every ancient weapon they deployed had been subtly altered to serve humanity's purposes. "Your entire understanding of history is a fabrication," Admiral Chen's message echoed through Imperial channels. "Those aren't alien artifacts in your vault. They're human technologies, planted centuries ago, waiting for this moment." The revelation broke something in the Imperial leadership. Their most closely guarded weapons, the source of their last resort plans, had been human Trojan horses all along. Even their understanding of their own history had been carefully manipulated. Dr. Rodriguez activated the final phase of the quantum matrix, and across Imperial space, reality itself seemed to shudder. The energy from their own weapons, trapped and transformed by human quantum technology, began to rewrite the very fabric of space-time around their worlds. "We didn't just prepare for your weapons," Chen's voice carried across all frequencies. "We shaped your entire civilization to ensure you would develop exactly the technologies we needed you to create. Your every advance was guided by our hand." In orbit around Zero Prime, the Hyperion's quantum core pulsed with energy as it coordinated the vast network of fields now enclosing Imperial space. They weren't destroying the Empire. They were fundamentally altering its ability to wage war. Professor Anderson, transmitting from the Imperial Academy, provided the final piece of the puzzle. "Their quantum physics research for the past century has been based on fundamentally flawed assumptions we carefully nurtured. They've built their entire civilization on principles we knew were incomplete. The Empire's mighty fleet found itself trapped in bubbles of altered space-time, their advanced weapons useless against physics they didn't truly understand. Humanity hadn't just defeated their military, they had rewritten the rules of reality itself. This is the price of your arrogance." Chen transmitted to the Imperial Palace. "You killed our children thinking we were primitive. Now witness the full extent of human advancement." Vexthor, watching his empire crumble, finally understood. They hadn't been dealing with a primitive species playing at civilization. They had been carefully groomed puppets, dancing to strings they couldn't even see. The quantum matrix reached its final state, and across imperial space, their technology began to fail not through destruction, but through fundamental transformation. Humanity wasn't just defeating the Empire, they were forcibly evolving it. Your civilization will survive, Chen announced, but your ability to harm others ends today. Consider this humanity's gift, a chance to grow beyond the limits of your own arrogance. As the quantum field stabilized, establishing a new reality for imperial space, Dr. Rodriguez sent her final report. The transformation is complete, Admiral. Their technology will now only function in harmony with the principles we've established. The empire that had thought itself supreme was being forcibly reshaped by the very species they had dismissed as primitive. Their final gambit hadn't just failed, it had been the key to their complete transformation. In the Imperial Vault, now transformed by quantum fields, Vexthor stared at the artifacts his people had hoarded for so long. Each one now revealed its true nature, not ancient alien weapons, but human tools planted long ago, waiting for this precise moment. The final phase of humanity's centuries-long plan was complete. The Empire would survive, but as something new, a civilization transformed by the very power they had sought to abuse. Dawn of Reckoning. 1 month after the transformation of imperial space, Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the transformed halls of the Imperial Palace. The crystalline walls now pulsed with quantum energy, a visible reminder of how completely humanity had reshaped the Empire's reality. She was here to meet with the newly formed Transitional Council, but first, she had another mission. In what had once been the Imperial Gardens, a memorial had been erected. Names of every human killed by Imperial aggression were etched in quantum, shifted crystal, including Maya Chen's. The Admiral placed her hand on her daughter's name, feeling the subtle vibration of the quantum fields that now permeated everything in Imperial space. "We did it, little one," she whispered. "We changed everything." Dr. Rodriguez approached, her quantum tablet displaying the latest data from across former Imperial territory. "The transformation is holding stable," she reported. "Their civilization is adapting to the new quantum framework faster than we anticipated. It seems our long-term social engineering was even more effective than we planned." The scope of humanity's victory was still being understood across the galaxy. They hadn't just defeated an empire. They had fundamentally altered the nature of their civilization. Imperial technology now operated on principles that made warfare impossible, their weapons transformed into tools of creation and exploration. In the Academy of Sciences, Professor Anderson was leading the education of Imperial scientists in true quantum mechanics. "Your understanding of reality was incomplete by design," he explained to his stunned colleagues. "Now you're ready to learn what the universe is really capable of." The truth about humanity's technological advancement was finally being revealed to the galaxy. Earth hadn't been a primitive backwater. It had been the center of innovation for centuries, carefully hiding its true capabilities while guiding other civilizations' development. Deep beneath Earth's oceans, in the facility where Project Nightfall had been born, Council leader Amara Okafor met with representatives from other galactic civilizations. The revelation of humanity's true capabilities had sent shockwaves through galactic society. "You hid all of this?" asked the Centaurian ambassador, gesturing to the quantum technology that filled the massive facility. "For centuries. We hid much more than this," Okafor replied. "What you're seeing is only the technology we're ready to reveal. Humanity learned long ago that power isn't about showing strength, it's about knowing when to hide it." The Empire's former leadership, now under house arrest in quantum-shifted facilities, were beginning to understand the true scope of their defeat. Every aspect of their society had been subtly guided by human influence, leading them down a path of technological development that ultimately served humanity's purposes. Commander Diana Shaw, now serving as liaison to the Transitional Council, provided them with the full history of human infiltration. "Your civilization's path was shaped by our influence from the moment we first contacted you," she explained. "Every major scientific breakthrough, every social reform, every cultural shift, all carefully orchestrated to prepare you for this transformation. In orbit around Earth, the Hyperion's quantum core hummed with power as it coordinated the vast network of fields maintaining the new reality in former Imperial space. Dr. Rodriguez's team had succeeded beyond their wildest expectations. They hadn't just changed the Empire's technology, they had altered the very way their civilization interacted with the universe. The quantum transformation is spreading naturally now, she reported to Admiral Chen. Their own scientists are beginning to innovate within the new framework we've established. They're building things we never anticipated, but all within the parameters that make warfare impossible. The galaxy was learning what humanity had known all along. True power lay not in the ability to destroy, but in the patience to guide, shape, and transform. The Empire's attack on Europa had been meant to teach humanity its place in the galaxy. Instead, it had triggered their own evolution into something entirely new. In what had once been the Imperial War Room, now transformed into a center for quantum research, former High Commander Vexthor watched as his people embraced their new reality. "We thought we were the most advanced civilization in the galaxy," he mused to Chen. "We never understood that true advancement isn't about weapons or territory. It's about the wisdom to move beyond them." The quantum fields that now permeated Imperial space weren't just transforming their technology. They were reshaping their very way of thinking. The empire that had valued dominance and control was becoming something new, something that might one day be worthy of the power they had once abused. Admiral Chen's final act was to establish the Quantum Concordat, a new framework for galactic civilization based on the principles that humanity had spent centuries perfecting. "The age of empires is over," she announced to representatives from across the galaxy. "The age of transformation begins." In the quantum-shifted gardens of what had once been the Imperial Palace, Maya Chen's memorial glowed with a soft light, its crystal structure resonating with the new reality that her death had helped create. Her mother stood before it one last time before departing for Earth. "Your death changed everything, little one," she said softly. "Not just because it triggered our response, but because it showed us how to transform vengeance into evolution." The galaxy was entering a new era. The empire that had killed a child thinking they were untouchable had been transformed into something entirely new. Humanity had proved that the greatest power wasn't in weapons or technology, but in the patience to guide an entire civilization toward transformation. As the Hyperion broke orbit from Zeril Prime, Admiral Chen looked back at the transformed Imperial capital. The quantum fields shimmered in patterns that would have been impossible just months ago, a visible reminder of how completely humanity had reshaped reality itself. "Send the final message," she ordered. Across all quantum channels, her words reached every corner of the galaxy. "Remember this moment. Remember that true power lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the wisdom to transform. This is humanity's gift to the galaxy, not an end, but a new beginning." The war was over, but the transformation had just begun. Humanity had revealed itself not just as a military power, but as architects of civilization itself. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what they had planned all along.